Hi there, Ronnie here, Amber's Night, coming at you with another video. This one is going to be a bit of a rant. It's regarding the new Star Wars game by Fantasy Flight Games. I have not seen the beta test, so a lot of this is coming off other people and what I've read on their website. I have the first ever release of a Star Wars RPG, the D6 version by West End Games. I've since seen the D20 version, the D20 Saga edition. On top of that, I also have two unofficial versions. There is Savage Star Wars for use with the Savage Worlds rule set, and True Force for use with True 20. And I can't say I'm a big fan of the D20 version, there's just too much going on. D20 Saga version cleans it up a little, but it is highly requiring of miniatures, and as I've stated in another video, I disapprove of that. The Savage Star Wars game looks okay. I've never played it though, but it looks fairly fast. The True 20 version, True Force, that looks like it could be a good system to use, and I'm seriously thinking of using it. I still have my preference being the old D6 version, especially as someone whose name I can't remember did conversion notes for the Saga edition sourcebooks, which is lovely. Then we have Fantasy Flight, and they've come out with this new version. I have several problems, and I haven't even seen the rules yet, but I have several problems right off the bat with their game. One, they released the beta test in a small amount. Okay, I understand that, but the beta test is something in the region of 200 to 300 pages, and they're charging you $30, about 20 quid, 20 pounds for it. They actually have the audacity, the gall, to charge people to play test their game for them. This is absurd. It's obscene. I don't understand it at all. You don't do that to players. You do not do that. If you want your rules tested, put out a version for free that they can download and play test and give you their feedback. The other problem is that at 200-300 pages, this beta test, they've already stated on the website, is pretty much the rules as is. I don't see any real 11th hour change going on, which makes the beta test pretty inconsequential. This is the rule set they're bringing out, especially as they have brought out the dice. And this is my other big problem, the dice. But I'll get back to that in a second. So I don't see the point of beta testing a game when you're damn near ready to release it. What you should do is have the skeleton of your game, 40-50 pages, if that, and release that, the actual skeleton, release that to the public for free as a beta test and get some feedback early in the conception, so you can get good feedback and see what you can change or what really works and make amendments. That's the way to beta test, not damn near before you're about to release it. And we know they're about to release it because they've now scheduled the release of the beginner box set, so they're pretty much set on what they're releasing. My opinion is that beginner's box set, few 48 pages of rules, there's obviously enough there. You could have released that simplified version as your beta test and gotten feedback from. But they haven't done this, and I find that obscene. Secondly is the dice. Now, I realise that Fantasy Flight release specialist dice for their games. I disapprove. I disapprove for two reasons. One, there's no reason for these dice. We know that there's no reason for the dice because they come in the normal polyhedral shape, and you can actually buy a set of stickers, a sheet of stickers, to stick onto your own polyhedral dice. And there's actually a table of it that I've seen online, a table that says what each number, say for your D8, what each number in the symbol represents. This idea of using symbols is odd to me. I'm sure it might make sense within the context of the game, but it sounds to me like they've created the game in order to ensure that they can release it with these dice, rather than actually creating a good flowing game with dice that role players will already have. Now, yes, a lot of new players are going to come into this hobby, and this creates a bigger problem. The thing about role-playing games are 90% of them use polyhedral dice. There's a nice small subset that use only D6, your regular six-sided die, but the vast, overwhelming majority of them use polyhedral dice to some extent. Sometimes it's just a 10-sided dice, sometimes it's the whole slew of them, but they use them. It seems absurd to me that you create a game with dice that are polyhedral shaped, the same as standard dice, but you use special symbols on them. This to me says that you're wanting players to go out and buy those dice, and new players to buy those dice and only those dice. The problem with it is those dice are only useful for that game and that game alone. If you buy a standard set of polyhedral dice from your local game store or online from places like Amazon, couple of quid, no problem, couple of pound, they're yours. These dice are being sold at something like 2 or 3 times the markup of a regular set of polyhedral dice. And they are completely useless outside that one game. Unlike your polyhedral dice, when you buy them, that's it, you've got the dice for 90% and then some of role-playing games. You don't have to rebuy other dice. The fact that they're making you use special dice doesn't sit well with me. The fact that they're making you pay through the nose for them, way above the price of normal polyhedrals, does not sit with me at all. There is only one reason, one logical reason for it, and that is profiteering, and that is obscene. At a time when we have, there's economic problems around the world, people just don't have the cash to throw away. Everyone's watching every penny. To create a game system that requires special dice is absurd. I will be even more offended if it turns out that the game assumes miniatures. If the default set for this game is miniatures, that's even more offensive. It's bad enough. I will not buy this game, as you can probably tell. I have no interest in buying this game. I am intrigued buy the beta test, not enough to buy it, because quite frankly, you know, I'm not spending £20 just to buy the damn thing and then another tenner on the dice just to get a game that doesn't really excite me. I'm intrigued to see how they try and justify the beta test price, how they try and justify these dice, which from everything I've read so far, there is nothing that couldn't have been done just as simply, just as effectively with normal polyhedral dice. It's almost Games Workshop in its tactics. I could do a whole video on that. So I find it obscene. So I would say to people, if you're thinking of getting the Star Wars game, and Fantasy Flight must be licking their lips at the announcement of Episode 7. They've just got the license just in time for this new trilogy to come out. If you are thinking of buying the Star Wars game because you want to play in that classic era, I would say go and find the D6 version. Go and find the D20 version. Go and find the Saga Edition version. They're all, you can buy them second hand. You should be able to get some decent prices for them. If you're someone with Savage Worlds, go find Savage Star Wars. There's plenty of places that have it for download. It's free, it's legitimately free, and it's there. If you're someone who owns the True 20 system, there's the True Force game. Again, it's a legitimately free download that you can get a hold of, and it's a perfectly good version of the Star Wars universe for you to play. I am considering doing conversions both for Castle Falkenstein, which is my favourite game, and also for the Adventure Game Engine, which Green Ronin used for Dragon Age, because I think the stunt system and everything might might well, you know, work for that. So that's what I'm thinking of doing, and if I get round to it and fill it all out, I'll certainly put it online for people to have. There's no need to buy this game. There's absolutely no need for what they've done and how they've done it, other than profiteering. I'm sorry, that's what I think. It's one thing to create a new game. It's another to create a game that squeezes the market down. There's no life to this. My personal opinion is I hope Fantasy Flight lose the license very, very quickly, and someone else gets it and does it responsibly. I'm very unhappy with this. So my opinion, they're not getting my money. If it had been a really good game that was exciting and interesting, I would have went for it, because it's Star Wars. But the way it's looking, just from a casual, just from what's out there now, it's not something that I would run or play, and that will be the first game I have ever said no, I wouldn't want to play. I'm no fan of Firefly or Serenity, but I would play a game in that system for the role-playing game because I like the system. I wouldn't do that for this new Star Wars game, even though I love the films. So that's my opinion of the new Star Wars game so far. I'd be interested to hear other people's opinions, especially if you have the beta test. Because I'd be very interested for you to ask the question or answer the question, what is it about these special dice that makes them essential? Why is it they couldn't just use normal polyhedral dice to do what they want to do? So the floor is yours. Let's have your thoughts.